What's going on, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of The Art of Letting Go. We have a really dope show in store for you today. I have James Lott Jr., one of my mentors, hosting the show and interviewing me, so I get to be on the other side of the show. Thank you to all the people that have subscribed to the Patreon this year, man. I really appreciate y'all so much. You don't know how much that helps. And if you would like to subscribe, go to www.theartoflettinggopodcast.com and you can sign up for our Patreon there. Yeah, started letting go. It's 5 years and I'm still alive. I'm moving through these episodes, get that runners high. Some of y'all wonder why I still ain't made it. These companies are sedated, they sleeping on the show, but let them know that we ain't waiting. Building my business up just so I can stand on it. Ain't stressing no corporate cosign cause I'm the man, homie. Are you still tuned in to letting go? Has my journey gave you the tools just to help you grow? But now I need your help, I do this shit myself. So any support received, I appreciate it. 185 in 5 years, I'm about to pause the show so these late bloomers could catch what you already know. It's the art of letting go.
It is the 5th anniversary of the Art of Letting Go podcast. And I'm James Lott Jr., not Mike Brown. But Mike Brown is here, of course. And Mike Brown, hello there. Hello, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that, James. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Well, it's not about me, because usually it is. But today, it's not about me. I'm on the Mike Brown's podcast with the Art of Letting Go. And it's 5 years of doing something that a lot of us, some of us do and some of us don't do. But he had a vision, he had a plan, and he stuck with it. There are many of you at home who may watch this or hear this and think, should I start a podcast? Should I do it? Well, he's the example of, sure, why not? You have an idea, you have a plan, do it. Get it out there. You never know whose voice needs to hear you. And especially, and he knows this about me, I'm blackity black. If you're a person of color, if you're a black person, they need to hear your voice no matter what it is. And I think you need to, and it's very important. I say we can't and we don't have the luxury of not sharing our voices. That's what you've done over the last 5 years. And I've been on several of his shows over time. I meant to write down which episode I was on. Didn't do that, but I want several.
I do remember a couple of them. I don't remember the numbers, but I do remember we did one about you asked me how do I show up, like how do I show that I'm both black and gay in my art? And it's so funny because back then I wasn't, and I feel like now and I would love to share some of this music with you that I've been creating, but yeah, I'm very open about just myself in my music now. So
Very good. Well,
yeah,
first of
I
all,
appreciate that.
well, I want to tell people. First of all, I'm thinking, well, who's this dude? So, my name is James Lott Jr., and I am a Renaissance man. I guess that's the right way to put it. Right? I do. I have so many hyphens and slashes. I'm like basically just holy. Basically, at this point, I'm held together by skin glue. It's like MacGyver here, just by skin glue. I've known Mike Brown for years. At this point, we're friends, and so we talk off camera and off mic. We have other things, but we have collaborated together. Also, he stars in one of my audio dramas, Fairview Heights, which I'm very proud of the work we do on that show. Fairview Heights you can find anywhere we find podcasts. It's really good. I think I should check it out. He's really good in it, the lead in that. And so that's how we know it. We did a song together called "Move." On one of my soundtracks. So we're intertwined, but we're also friends. Been friends for years. So just so you say, like, who's he? But you follow me everywhere. You just Google me, folks, and you'll find me everywhere. But it's about Mike Brown. So Mike Brown, my first question to you is: have you learned the art of letting go?
I think every day I'm still learning how to let go. You know, I have post-it notes posted all around my house that say don't take things personal, because that is by far my biggest challenge. And it's been my whole life, but I really have, because I know what I give to people and to the world in general, that when I get something back that doesn't feel like me, I do have a hard time not taking it personal.
Well, sensitive.
I
That's fine.
am. I really
And,
am. You know what?
and
My friends will
okay.
tell you that.
I was saying nothing wrong being sensitive. I was just gonna say there's nothing wrong being sensitive, folks. They say it's like it's a bad word. It's not a bad word. It's not a bad word. It means that he feels. So that's something we want to be feeling, carrying people. We do. I cry all the time and stuff. So trust me, I'm big. I'm big. I'm a 6 foot pound, 600, 6 foot, 6 foot, 300 pound big baby. I cry all the time. But I release. But you have to release it. But
You
when you
do.
came with this title, I want to know for folks who have not. I know this is good. You know, it's gonna be a crazy show, Mike. It'll be crazy. You know, this is me on here. Um, when we came with the title, "The Art of Letting Go," it's like it's a title of a show, but also almost a directive, like how you're trying to when you talk about what you're trying to do each show. So was that how you came up with the show idea and title? Was you wanted to learn how to let go?
No, honestly, I was in therapy prior to starting the show, and I was letting go a lot of stuff in therapy. So when I because around that time I had a job again, and I'm looking at cycles, which is so crazy. I quit my job before even starting this podcast, and I think
Okay.
I was working for it might have been Starbucks. It might have been Starbucks,
Oh,
and
how
I
funny.
quit
Okay.
Starbucks,
Yeah. Okay.
and yeah, I was going to therapy. It got too expensive, and I couldn't afford it anymore. So I ended up starting a podcast. I was like, well, I'm letting go of stuff, and I'm learning how to like express myself through communication and stuff like that. So that led me to the podcast.
So 5 years ago, let's go back for a second and where you were. One is you said basically you're working at Starbucks, I guess, or working at a job there. Were you in a relationship?
I had just gotten out of a relationship. I was in my first relationship for 5 years, and it was literally months after coming out. So, I never really at that time I didn't really take the time to experience like being the young gay free,
Yeah.
person that I got to experience post being in a relationship, but I felt that relationship ending before I even started this podcast. So when I was going to therapy, I was honestly trying to like if I'm being completely honest, and sorry if he listens cuz he did hit me up about something he heard on the podcast once and told me fuck you. Um
Your truth, you tell your truth. So fuck you. I thought you tell your truth.
Right.
Shit.
But yeah, I was trying to get out of that relationship, and therapy really helped me express myself and hear myself say things out loud that just didn't feel good. It was just like I couldn't do it anymore.
But it's something actually let's seriously talk that for a second. This is a podcast about life and a lot of times
Mhm.
about your journey. So that ex or your parents or your friends or a cousin down the street or whatever, what does that? I mean, how have you learned not to censor yourself if the conversation's really good and you do want to express and share something? That is something I guess that you don't have to think about when we're on these shows. Well, if you mention somebody else, what they think if they listen.
What's so funny? In the beginning, I didn't care, but as I've grown to do this more, I not that I censor myself, but I'm very
Confused.
conscious of some of the things that I say because I just don't want to hurt people. Because essentially, this is about my life, and I don't want my experiences to trigger anything in their experiences. So and not even with like and it's more so with the people that I really truly care about, like especially like with family and close friends. Like I would never put something out that I feel like will be hurtful, and a lot of times before I do share something, I do the work behind it. Like in the beginning, I used to just get on here and just share everything and not care about who was listening, who wasn't. And now that I'm more conscious of that, I do take the time to really do some work before I bring it to the podcast.
That's thoughtful. Very thoughtful. So, okay, so 5 years ago, it's been a very I chill to the same devil, so my bike and whatever. Um, but you are so 5 years ago, out of relationship, basically, kind of working at Starbucks or kind of whatever, just kind of floundering around a little bit. Were you still playing basketball still too at the time?
I was playing
I
basketball.
remember that. I remember that. You were playing basketball too,
Yeah.
right? You're doing that on a gay league, right? It was a gay league,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes. And still playing in it. I left for a little while and I just got back in this
Okay.
season. and it's been
Oh, did you
fun.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were doing something else recently. I thought you were doing some other thing recently.
I was walking in balls
Yeah.
during the summertime. Yep. You know,
Okay.
I'm always doing something. I'm always trying something because when I do these activities, they kind of show me a different side of myself than I get to see just in my day to day. So like when I'm walking in balls, I'm feeling those spaces of discomfort and finding my comfort within that. Or when I'm playing basketball and I'm feeling that fear, finding my way out of that fear, and kind of like yoga, bringing all of that stuff to my real life.
Wait, we got a friend. I'm sorry. I won't say his name. I want to, but I saw a picture recently. I was like, "Who's that?" Yeah, his body was popping out. I was just like, "That's our buddy." And I'm like, he knows I love him. And he's like, he probably knows I'm talking about him. But I was like, "Where'd that come from?" I don't remember him having that before. I was like, "Okay, that yoga. I said, yoga does that." Shit. Okay, I had no idea at all. Woo. But full
That's
disclosure,
fair.
folks, if we're gonna share shit. Um, Mike and I met on an app.
We
So
did.
I thought he was cute, saw his picture, we talked online, whatever, we're on a date. But we found out our date, it was a great date. We actually found we had a lot in common and actually got along as friends.
You know what I remember you telling me when I told you I had a podcast. You told me, you were like, I want to bring you on my show, but if I work with you, I can't date you.
Yep, I said that. Yep.
I was like, okay.
And I stand by that. I don't shit where I eat. We don't do that. We
Yeah.
don't. No, we don't. I keep it separate. I don't do that. But
Yeah.
I remember we talked. We had a great. It was a great. And see that, and that's the thing, folks. And see also because I wasn't around a lot of gay black people either. Seeing another gay black person, you know, that's what I'm into. I would see him. It was like I saw him. I saw you. And I was like, I like, and I did. I said, I'd actually really like him as this person who's a creative, and we had a lot in common. And I said, I want to bring you on my show. I want to be on my show. And I did bring him on my show, actually. I did bring him
Yeah.
on. Back
And
at
that was
CB, award-winning show, Breaking Into You. Yes. But no, but it was like, that's the lesson also is that you can go on these apps sometimes. You can make friendships or have something that's lasted actually probably longer than we could have been together. Probably, who knows? We could have.
yeah, for sure. For sure. And it's it's cool that we were able to meet that way, but honestly, it's hard to navigate in that space. Like
Yes,
you are probably one of the rare connections that
same
I was
here.
able to make in that space like that.
Same here. No, so I made a couple, but same here. Not
Yeah,
that many.
for
I
sure.
a couple. I've
For
only a couple, and I
sure.
agree with you. I'm just saying that it's just, but it's one of those things that he knows this about me. I believe there's no coincidence. So there was obviously we had to meet in that form. Look at that beautiful smile he has. Beautiful smile. Of course, I'll be attracted to that. But it was one of those. And he's super tall, you guys, which is like it's crazy. I always forget every time I see him. I'm like, oh my god, he's fucking tall. But there's a connection in terms of a friendship, creative connection that you and I have always had. No matter when we see each other, it could be a whole year go by, whatever. Usually it doesn't go that long, but like we come back together, it's like time never passes, and that's one of those things that I think I like about our friendship. It's just like it's easy breezy. It's not judgmental. It's not crazy, and I just want to. Boy, we transparent. We did meet on an app. I was looking for a man. We down on an app, and I found a friend. I found a friend. If I'm gonna spill tea, might as well spill that too.
Right.
Um, might as well. Might as well do that, right? Might as well do that. But this is a success story. This is a success story in this area. When you were doing when you started the podcast, what back then, if you can remember, what was your hope of the podcast?
When I first started it, I just wanted to have conversations with my friends because we would have these really deep conversations, and I think it's because like the climate of our friendship at that time was everybody was in therapy, which was rare for a group of black men to all be in therapy. But I was in therapy. James was both a therapist and in therapy. Alpha, shout out to Alpha, was in therapy.
Alpha. Oh my God. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So we all were in therapy, and me and James would continuously just like anytime James came to my house, we would have conversations, and sometimes I would just record us because I like audio. So that's what I would do. And
Yeah.
this was before a podcast was even a thought. And I would listen back to these recordings, and sometimes we would listen to them and be like, wow, we are saying some deep shit, or at least at that time it felt deep. So, when the opportunity came, I kept talking to them about, meaning James and Alpha, about starting a podcast. And I was kind of scared to do it by myself. If I'm being completely honest, I was scared to do it by myself. And Alpha was that person that was like, hey, I'll do this with you. And what really made me start it, though, was I heard Anthony Valadez on a podcast that he did called Say No More Fam. I think that's what it was called. Or no. Yeah, I think that's what it was, Say No More Fam. And he was podcasting about how easy it was to podcast. And I think he might have did it on his phone or something. I was like, damn, he made this seem so simple. So I just went for it.
That's so funny. Let's talk about Alpha for a second, because he is part of this history
For
of
sure.
this. He
Sure.
is, and I haven't brought you both on my show. I met Alpha. I know Alpha also. And so for the first part, you guys were together. So what did Alpha bring to the podcast?
Alpha, like we definitely bounced off each other a lot. Um, Especially when it was just us and no guests. Like we fed off of each other. Like sometimes I would come in and just have a topic, and honestly, Alpha would ask those questions that would make me go deeper into my thoughts. Like, and I felt like I pulled the same out of him. But a lot of times Alpha would ask a question, and maybe it's that therapist quality in him as well, that it would pull something out of me that would lead us somewhere else. And we would always start the episodes with like, and just to be honest with you, we've never scripted anything. Even to this day, I don't work on a script. And that's me pulling the curtain back for everybody that
Yeah.
thinks that you got to do this, do that. No, I just come in and talk.
Mhm.
And with Alpha, we would have conversations, like 30-minute conversations before doing a podcast, and then we would jump in. And if I'm being so honest and giving Alpha full props and full credit, honestly, he gave me confidence. Like if I could be so truthful about that, like I wasn't confident enough to do this by myself. So having a friend sitting there next to me that was willing to meet with me every week to do this, it was like that was really all I needed. And like when I look back at it now, I don't know. I think at points I used to tell myself I needed more than that. Like I needed him to match me 50-50 and stuff like that. But I think that's really all I needed at the time, if I'm being very truthful.
Yeah. Now he leaves at some point, and you make a decision to go on. So what? How did that feel? How did going into making it say, okay, I'm going to go on, and I'm going to be the solo host and continue this show?
It was a little fearful, and I'll be honest, like I really thought that people would stop listening because Alpha wasn't on the show. Um and that's my true honest feeling about that. I really thought I would lose everybody because it was just me. And I think there was a feeling of discomfort as well, because to be honest, I never had a conversation with him about continuing the show. Like,
Right.
he had a baby, he had a lot going on at the time, and for me it was just like, I think we had missed like 2 weeks of doing it together, and I was just like, fuck it, I got to keep going because this is what I really truly believe in. And I just kept it rolling at that point. And I think looking back, if I could have if I could have done things differently, I think I would have. Which, he said that is no hard feelings, and I don't feel bad with where things have gone today. But I think I would have wanted to have a conversation with him about it before just moving on, because I really just was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just move on. And because it felt like my baby, like he had a physical baby, and this was my baby, so I couldn't just leave my child behind.
Yeah, definitely. And hindsight's 2020, obviously, right?
Of course.
But it's one of those things that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, for sure,
As
for
we learn
sure.
more and more, we learn more and more, and hopefully, like I'm sure you've learned from it. I'm sure you've learned from it, so you now
Of
know if you're in
of
that situation
course.
again in the future, you can do something differently.
Of course. And you know what? We talked maybe like a week or two ago, and he's starting his own podcast. And he asked me to be the first guest on the podcast. So I'm for sure going on the show. And I definitely want to bring him on this show again, you know, not as a co-host, but as a guest for sure.
Yeah, that's good. You're like, I'm no co-host now. I'm no co-host anymore.
Like I really do enjoy doing the show by myself. I do.
Well, there's
And
something
I
different. There's something different about having co-hosts. 'Cause I have co-hosts on certain shows, and having a show on having a solo show on your own. And I was gonna, this actually leads into my question for you. What is one thing you have learned
whew,
about being a host and interviewer? Because I've done thousands of interviews over the years. I know how it is, and it's not easy as it looks, folks. It's not as easy as it looks. So I want to know a couple of things that you've learned about being a host interviewer.
ooh, something I've learned about being a host. I think the biggest thing I've learned is creating space for people. Um, because I think when I and kind of going back to doing the show with Alpha, I felt myself talking a lot more, like doing a good chunk of the talking, and it wasn't even like for any reason. It just was just flowing that way. But when I have a guest, it gives me the opportunity to focus on that person and give them the space to be heard and felt. And I try to just create that energy and just being myself, just kind of building up that conversation before, and then once we jump in, get it, warming them up to feel comfortable and confident to talk, because a lot of times people are not so confident in speaking. Like, everybody else says, I don't know what to say, I don't know what we're going to talk about. And then once you start getting people to talk, it's like, okay, we already in conversation, so now it just flows.
Well, it's up to you. You're the ringleader. You're the leader. You're the top. They start from there. Well,
Yeah.
you're the top. I mean, like that. Like that. But anyway, you're leading. I'm like, I didn't mean to get that personal. I'm just kidding. No, just kidding, folks. But no, but it's you're the person who has to herd the cats, so to speak. You're the guy who's supposed to kind of put it together and and lead them the way down, like lead them into
Yeah.
how this is going to be. Because he's right. A lot of folks, they off camera, they're great. Like they can talk to you, but they're thinking on camera, something's like something different. With a mic in front of them, they feel like it's something different. We have to show them it's no difference. For the type of podcast that we're due, it's like, no, this is friends talking.
And something that I've experienced as a host, as I'm just thinking about it now, there's something in me, and I can't even explain it. And somebody actually, one of my guests on my show explained it to me, is like, when I go into that host mode, I almost transform. It's like, I find my flow, and I'm like a different person in a sense.
I mean, you're easy to talk to. So to me, you and I can talk forever, of course. But even in host mode, unhost mode, we can. But like, no, you're easy to talk. I think that helps. You're comfortable to talk to.
Yeah,
And I know what it feels like. People say something about me. But this whole thing is that that's the point. You want to make your, it's like inviting somebody into your home. You want them to be comfortable. You
for
don't want people to be
sure.
on edge, whether at your house or feel like, awkward. You want them to feel like they can just rest and be okay. You're in a safe area. It's gonna be okay. The conversation will be fine. We'll talk about it. You can always edit out whatever you don't want in. You have to kind of like let them know it's going to be okay. And I know it's something that's, but I want to actually ask you this kind of funny question, because we do these shows, we do them all the time, and they're not perfect every time. Is there an episode or episodes that you're like, oh, you're a little embarrassed by, or just a little like, that wasn't my greatest moments? I have a few in my life. Trust me, I have a few in my life. Woo!
uh there was, like, there's one episode that always stands out to me. I recorded with this lady once, and I will not say her name. Um, but she reached out to me.
Episode 35.
I never released the episode.
Just kidding.
She reached out to me. She said she wanted to be
Oh,
on the
you never
show.
released it? Oh,
I never released it. But let's see. As far as like episodes that I've released, I don't know if I
no, no.
if
First,
I
no.
have.
First go back into.
Okay.
No, so no. First, go finish that story first. I'm like, I want to hear there's an episode you chose not to air. That's very. That really happens. That's very interesting. I'm curious. Talk about that. What episode you chose not to
She
air?
she wanted to be on the show. She wrote this book called The Art of Letting Go, and I just
Oh,
yeah. So I'm thinking, oh, that's cool. Like this is dope. And this was during the
yeah.
pandemic. And I'm doing the episode with her, and every question I ask her, she's just telling me, you got to read the book to find out. You got to read the book to find out. And I'm just like, this is boring. This is not fun.
Yeah.
And
No.
actually, I do have another episode that I didn't. And you know what's funny? The ones that I don't feel, I don't release them. And it's only been like 2 episodes that I haven't released. And I had a episode with a friend, and he got too high on the episode. Actually, 3. I have 3 episodes now. I'm thinking about it. And these 2 episodes were with 2 people that ended up smoking too much weed, and it was really bad. It was really bad, and
Oh my God.
I just didn't feel confident in putting those episodes out. So but I will say everything else that I've released, I feel good about, even if, and I guess because I don't really listen back to my episodes.
Put 'em out
I
there. Like,
just
that's it.
release them into the world, and I move on,
I'll tell you, I have an episode I did drunk once, and it stands out. I don't remember it. I have an episode where I wanted to punch somebody in the face, and that was really crazy. I have an episode where I gushed too much over a guest. I was so excited about them that when I hear it back, I'm like, oh my God, I just fangirled all over it, over this person. Like it was almost because, like you said, because for example, like you said, there's a way to promote yourself. So you have a book
Yeah.
that comes out. There's a way to you should have some points you can talk about and get them excited and go, well, you want to hear the rest? Get the book. Like there's a way to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand you don't want to give too much away, but there's like you must have some things you can talk about. I mean, like what the fuck the book about? That kind of thing. But I had stuff like the way, yeah. There's a few times I've at a few episodes like, oh, who's that? And I don't listen to it anymore. But yeah, I don't
The older
understand that.
episodes
But
make
it's
me
funny. So
cringe a
you
little
actually
bit.
episodes you not put out, you don't listen back to,
So I have listened back to some of the old ones, and
of
they do
course,
make me cringe. Like
of
just
course.
because I hear where I was in my life, and that's what really makes me cringe more than anything. Because I think at that time in my life it spoke to me, but when I hear myself do an episode where I'm talking about a guy or something, and it's just like, ugh, like you actually went through that, and like that's the episodes that make me like, ugh.
Yes, that's as they should. You should always have markers of where you come from. Yes,
Right.
I
Yeah.
have, my first episode I ever did of anything ever in my entire life. I said so 900 times. I was like, so. I go, thanks, Benita. Thanks for ruining my. Yes, I said so. I mean, I said so. I don't say so anymore. This is my first time saying it in this podcast. I don't say so. That word is out my vocabulary. I banished it. I was like, that's it. Because those first couple episodes, I was like, ooh, James Lott Jr., why isn't I telling you? Shut up. You're smart. You have degrees. You have a doctorate. Come on, James. What are the words?
I'm
And
doing
you went
work
to college.
around
You know how
getting
it is.
I'm doing work around getting rid of and like I've heard myself saying it a lot more, and I'm like, man, I need to get rid of those words. They sound gross.
So, what is one? Well, I know you had your father on a podcast a couple times. I know that's in there too. But I'm actually. We'll talk about that separately, actually. But I'm just curious. And unless this is the same answer, what are some of your most profound podcasts that you think back on, going? Yeah, you've had a lot of good ones, including myself.
Yes.
But I'm wondering, but which one? Because you have some really good guests on your show, so people should, check it out. But are there some that stick out with you as the host doing these podcasts?
Yeah, so honestly, the episode with me, you, and Kobe, where we
Oh
talked
yeah, that was
about
a great one.
Black history,
Yes,
Black queer history, that one
yes.
stood out, and a lot of people reached out to me about it. Um, I feel like both the episodes I did with Anthony were really good. And I think more so because, like, one, I'm a fan of him, but the first time around it flowed well, but the second time around, now that we've been able to build a friendship kind of like in the same way that you and I have, it just flows so smooth. I feel like every episode I do with James is just a really deep dive into just male vulnerability. I think
And I'm
one
saying
of my
James Woods. You talk about James Woods, and I'm going to interject
yes.
this really quick. He has the voice of God. I mean, his voice. He doesn't even know how hot his voice is, and I'm like, come on, people. they talk about two black men about something profound, and James Wade says stuff. You're like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, I
Yeah.
get it. He does. I love you, James. I think I'll watch this. I love you. He got it. He got my vote. He got my vote.
He really does. My mom's the episode with my mom was really
Yes.
good because she talked about having mental issues,
Yes,
and
you did.
that one was really deep. And
And you
I
had your
think
dad on too. You had your dad on too.
I did have my dad on. I have an episode that I never released with my dad that one day I'll put it out. I think I
Oh,
never released it because I was a little uncomfortable with some of the language in it, and I didn't want people to judge my dad off sharing experience, because we did an episode about just our connection and me being a queer man and his response and just what his experience was before finding that I was gay, like how did he treat gay people prior to me. And I just felt like it might have, some
yeah,
of the language might have missed its mark,
yeah.
so I didn't release it, but it was a really good episode. And I think for myself, there was an episode I did, and it might have been my last episode of 2019, but I just kind of recapped my journey of dating men and even talked about being taken advantage of. And I had a lot of men and women reach out to me about it. And yeah, that episode is one that's hard to listen to. And I think my first Spotify episode, the one I did this year with my friend Byron, it was a really good episode because we both ended up crying in the episode. So I know I gave a lot of them in that.
I know this is your 5-year anniversary. Shit, this is your show. You can give me 10 examples.
A lot
No,
of
they're all good
episodes in
examples.
5 years.
Yeah, no, I know. And I want to say this, because for me, the fact that your mother was on an episode, your father was on an episode, my mother won't do shows with me. She's camera shy and mic shy. My father and I aren't close at all, so we don't have one. So for me to see, I listen to your episodes with them because you're a black man, a black queer man. We have those in common. That you had your parents on your show. I admire that very much.
I
I'm
appreciate
jealous of
that.
that. I'm jealous of that. I'm envious of that in a good way, all in a great way. That you have a legacy now that long after you're gone and they're gone, there's a piece of something there of time where Mike Brown and his parents were on a podcast together and actually talked openly about stuff. And I think that's something that I did a show with my grandson, and that's a whole for me for my life. We did a show together, but that's the only person in my family did a show with. That's a
Yeah.
whole different, having a grandchild's a whole different thing. But parents growing up the way we did, growing up the way they did, for them to come on your podcast and be open with you, I kudos to you. I think that's something that should be admired, and that's what your podcast brought.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And as I'm
Maybe
listening
this.
to you, I'm like, I should probably get an episode in with my grandmother, my dad's mom. Because she is up in age, so that would probably be something like a good time capsule for everybody.
It is, and because my aunt, my oldest, all my grandparents, everybody died, and all it was like a 10-year period. Everybody just died, just dropped dead. So, but I had one aunt who was left. She was the oldest of all the kids, and she was the last one to go. How funny is that, right?
Wow.
My grandmother was the youngest. She was the first to go. My aunt was the last. It was like really weird. My Aunt Yvette. So I went to Kansas and I recorded all these videos with her. Some told me to do it. She was in her 90s, and she was sharp as a tack and just gave me all this information. And she passed away later that year. That was, I would say, at least I think it was 2016 or whatever. I'm finally ready to go through the footage. I haven't go through the footage yet, but the pieces that I saw, I was like, good. I'm glad I did that. And my cousins were there in some of the footage. Their kids, and I got a whole dynamic in those videos. I learned a lot. So I'm like, I'm gonna my goal in 2023 is to start putting those together for the family and stuff. But I thought you're right. You should. If you have, I wish I had oh my God, where'd he go? Where'd he go?
It's James Woods, aka that yoga dude, with Feel Free to Feel Free. It's okay to set a goal. To set a goal for peace, understanding, trusting yourself, caring for yourself, being there for yourself. You can set goals for yourself. The reward is what you want it to be. Healing, love, relaxation, calm, peace. Your goal, your reward. No first place, no last place. Just you taking a breath closer and closer to your goals. Let's inhale deeply. And a long, slow exhale. Breathe in because you deserve it. Breathe out because you're healing. Breathe in because you didn't know. And now you know. Breathing everything that's yours. And breathe out to claim it. Take another deep breath here. Breathe in. And as you exhale, focus on the breath leaving the body, along with any doubt, stress, and worry. As you accept that your goal is accomplished, for you to feel free, and namaste. Peace.
But I wish I had my grandmother on tape somewhere. We were so close, but didn't happen that way. So yes, do it. Do
Yeah,
it.
and you know what's funny? I wish I was able to record with my grandmother on my mom's side, just because you know, she was a very strong force in my life. And before she passed away, I wrote down 25 questions to ask her, and she did answer all those questions for me, but I never recorded them. And when she was in the hospital, like before she passed away, I asked her for some advice, and I did record that. And she just told me, like, to find something in this world, like, create it and be proud of it. And like, honestly, this podcast is that thing. And that, I think that's what really keeps me going in what I'm doing, because man, like we talked about earlier, this can be hard, like just creating and being passionate about what you're doing. It can be challenging, but you know, finding that joy in it and finding that passion to keep driving you to keep going, like I said, those words ring in my head every day, and that's what keeps me, like, from not stopping this.
Entrepreneurship is one of the hardest, most rewarding things you'll ever do.
It is.
And this is entrepreneurship. It is. It's both things. I've written books on it. I mean, it's like, but I'm like telling you, anybody says they want to do it, I say, sure. Just know that your life will never be the same. And it's not a
Yeah.
9 to 5 job. It's not Monday through Friday. It's not anything you think. It literally isn't. And it's almost as individual as the individual. What your
Yeah.
experience will be as an entrepreneur, as a podcaster, as this, that, and the other. It's very. I mean, I've been doing it for 15 years now, almost 16, almost about 50. That's like, and it's. I'm telling you, every day it's a journey. And most of the days I'm happy. I'm
Yeah.
here. I will admit there are a few days I'm like, where's that vacation pay? Where's that sick leave? Like, where's all that? Why is there a check coming every Friday? I
Yeah.
do miss some of that sometimes, but then there are days like I had last week. I was saying that little thing last week where it kind of, yes, that's why I'm here. Okay, now that's why I'm here.
What keeps you going in your journey?
My race, my age, my family, my ancestry, my fans, my followers. I mean, no, seriously, all of that actually plays into why I wake up in the morning, get out of bed, because I and I pray every morning. I talk to God every morning. I pray every morning, do all that, and then I get ready. But my thing is, I'm here to serve. I
Yeah.
really feel like, and you know me, or you could tell the viewers how I am. I feel like I'm here to serve, and that is my friends, that is my public, that is my family. I'm here. I'm here for a reason. I found it. You know, it's hard
Yeah.
to find. I always wonder if I'd find it, and I found it in my 50s, folks. So it's never too late, right? And so even though I'm in the entertainment world, I'm also in the life coaching world. I'm in the organizing world. It doesn't matter. It's all about service. And so everything I do um, surrounds that. And I just feel like this is what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. And I don't know how long my life's going to be. I have a feeling, I know, I hate, when I say this, people get mad at me, but I say, I think I'm going to live a long time. I don't think I am. So I feel a sense of urgency. I know. People are like, Daniel, you'll be here, 100 years old. I'm like, no, I'll probably die at 80. But my whole thing is, I feel like I'm here, but it keeps me motivated. It keeps me urgent, not rushed. It's a difference. I don't feel rushed, but it keeps me urgent enough where I go, don't be afraid to try this. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to do that. It keeps me urgent enough to go, you want to do it, so just do it because you don't know how long you will be here. I think having a brother dies affected me. As you know, my brother died 6 years ago. That affected me heavily also. Because he was a year older than me, died suddenly. So I just feel like I have to like, for him too, just like I have to decide there's things he couldn't accomplish. For some reason, I'm still here. It keeps me going. And then someone brought this up to me on my 5-year anniversary show I did. No, it was my 6-year anniversary show I did recently. I had a guest host too, like you had come in. Flobo, our buddy Flobo Voice. Had me realize I have 2 daughters. One of my daughters was just here. She turned 35. She was just here. Sacramento. We spent the whole weekend together. Saw Willow Smith on stage. It was crazy.
Oh
At the
wow.
Hollywood Bowl. That's a whole other story. But I have another daughter who's pregnant. She'll be 34 in January, and I have 5 grandchildren. And for me, that's not my life. I mean, if you look at Black, queer, but that's not your life. But there are a lot of us out there who have this, have families, and have this kind of stuff. It's a legacy to them. It's like for them. When I go, they'll have a body of work of mine, whether it's books, music, paintings, podcasts, TV shows, interviews of their Papa Jamie. And that's what I didn't realize that till Fuller brought that out of me. I go, I never thought that. Like, people have home movies, they'll have all this. So it motivates me to say, in the choices I make. It
Yeah.
motivates me in the guests I have on my show. I do race talks. I bring up stuff for about women and about transgender and about the disabled community, and I fight justice in the soap world, and in this there's things, and I also like to have a lot of fun, and I laugh and I'm crazy and and I cry on TV. I do everything. But that's kind of the point. Is that's what keeps me going. Is that it's all about being service to the people who are tuning in,
Yeah.
or my friends who are like, James, I need your advice on this, or what are your thoughts on that? And Mike and I about that. I'm always an ear. I'm always an ear. And I just think I go back to Black men. I'm multiracial, so I would say men of color, Latino, Black, whatever you want to call it. We need people. It's my job. It's my job to
Yeah.
assist the village. It's
I
my
agree.
job to be there for you. That's what keeps me going, and you guys keep me going. All you young dudes out there, I'm 53 years old. I was 54. I know I don't look it. No, but no, you guys keep me fresh. Also, you guys are. I look to all of you. All of you go. They're doing it. I can still do. I'm still here too. I can do it too. They're doing it, and you guys inspire me also. And you're one of the ones that inspire me also.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I tell people all the time about you. I always say that both you and Anthony Valadez feel like my mentors in this because like I said, you gave me my first opportunity to be on somebody else's show. And just throughout the years, like anytime I've had an idea, you've always pushed me to just do it, like just go for it. And I appreciate that so much. I really do.
Well, and I said you're a talented dude, and and whatever outlet you need to put something out there, it needs to be out there. Like I said again,
Yeah.
we need more of our voices out there to drown out the other voices that aren't so great.
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And when I listen to you, like when you talk about your motivation for doing this, like for me, like I really just want to show people that they can do literally anything that you want to do. Like, I'm not more or less special than anybody. Like I'm just somebody that tries and is not afraid to put themselves out there. And I think my goal, like, when all of this is said and done, meaning life, like I want to leave empty. Like I don't want to leave with no idea in my mind, no feeling left in my body. Like I want it all to just be expressed. So that's why I
But
do
I'm
what
going to
I do.
correct you and say you are special, and so
I
is
appreciate
everyone
that.
else out there.
You are
That's
you
the
are
point.
right. Yeah,
I'm going to correct
you're
you on that
absolutely
one.
right.
You are special. I'm special. You're special. We got to tell, especially any black men watching this, or queer black men watching this, we got to tell them they're special. That's the point, because we're
Yeah,
not being told that. And we're being
you're right.
told to apologize and down talk ourselves. Nope, we're not doing. Nope, not letting you do that, Mike Brown. Not in front of me. We're not going to do that shit. It's not about ego. We're not about ego, but
Yeah,
we are special. And the thing is, we need to know that, and folks need to watch us and go, if they're special, I'm special to you. But your message that you're saying is so true. If I can do it, though, so can you do it.
yeah,
You can find a way, and I think it's what your overall message is. But I just want people to
of
feel like
course. Yeah, and
we
I
don't say
appreciate
enough.
that.
Because our friend James Woods, got me crying on a show we did together. He was like, he said how beautiful I was or whatever, and I was like, we don't tell we just don't tell enough. We don't tell each other that enough. We just don't. And
Yeah,
so I'm choosing my words. I'm trying to choose my words and what we put out there. And I think you and I being two black men sitting here talking on a podcast on a medium that was invented not too long ago. We didn't grow up seeing podcasters. Now folks can grow
right.
up. They can watch us and go, I would be like what they're doing.
Yeah,
When I grew up, I would be on radio. That was my thing. I want to be on radio. But that's one of the thing. But this wasn't here. We're in jobs that were never even created until recently.
yeah.
That's how blessed we are. Think about that. Like this was the podcast. What the fuck is that? That was nothing 10 years, 15, 20 years ago.
You're
Podcasting.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But so we go. So it's a great way, and so I'm gonna have Mike Brown end the show because it actually is his show, 5-year anniversary. And I just want to tell him thank you, and I feel honored to have been on here to host it. I've many more years for this for you, or whatever you choose to do, whatever alliteration of the show you choose to do. He also has merch, folks, so he'll tell you where to buy his merch. So don't be sleeping on his merch. You gotta get his merch also. You're not a promoter. He has merch. And again, he's on my Fairview Heights, which is one of my hit podcasts,
Yes.
audio dramas on JLJ Media for any streaming platform service you have out there. But Mike, now you have the floor because it's your 5-year anniversary.
Oh man, James Lott, thank you so much, James Lott Jr. Because you're junior. You
Yeah,
gotta
don't get a
remind the
junior.
people. But thank you so much for doing the show. Um, as James said, we do have merch available. We have a Patreon that you guys subscribe to. You know what's so funny? My Patreon has gone up and down, but this is the highest it's ever been. I'm at 7 Patreon subscribers. I would like to get to 10 before the year ends. So if you're listening, you can sign up for the Patreon for as low as $3. $3 a
Do it.
year. $3 a month is $36 a year. I'm pretty good at math. But yeah, sign up for the Patreon. We got merch available. Please like the podcast, subscribe to it, leave a review, let people know what you think. Let me know what you think. Um, we are always here. If you go to the theartoflettinggopodcast.com, everything is there. If you want to start a podcast and you really need some inspiration and motivation, I have a podcasting course available. And, I'm going to be honest with you. All the information is out there for free. You don't need me to start it. But if you need somebody to put the battery in your back and get you going with this podcasting, sign up for that course. Take it. It's there. James Lott, can you please let the people know where they can find you?
You can find me where all James Lott Jr. is sold at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. Been for 10 years. All media platforms. I am James Lott Jr. on every single social. I made it so simple for you guys. You can't forget it. Everywhere. I have a YouTube channel, actual channel. I'm one of the few black men out there who has his own channel. It is JLJ Media on YouTube. And I have over 50 shows. That's why we're 50 shows. Running from soap operas to Star Wars to everything in between. Check that out at James Lott Jr. I'm also on Patreon too. I'm trying to get there also. I got 23, but I'm trying to get to
Okay.
30. So if you want to join me over there, yes, over there. I put out content every single day, folks. So check this out. Follow both of us on Patreon. Support Black
Yes.
content creators. Please do. Also, I have a venture called buymeacoffee.com. So go to buymeacoffee.com/James Lott Jr. It is also a podcast on there, but it's also like a tip jar for creatives. So go ahead and support me over there also. And then, of course, I have merch. jljmedia.threadless.com, jljmedia.threadless.com. I have books. I have music on Spotify. Anywhere else you want to go to, just type in James Lott Jr. I have 10 albums and all kinds of music. I have new Christmas songs out right now. One's called He Comes Up the Chimney. It comes down the chimney. Excuse me, that's another story. Comes down the chimney, and one called House of Frost. I know I'm crazy. They're out now for your listening, downloading pleasure.
James, I don't know how you keep up with everything you do because
I
you
don't either.
do
Mike
everything.
Brown, I have no man. I have nothing going on. So I just work all the time. That's all I do. I got nothing. I eat and work. That's the two things I do. That's all I do.
Oh man, James, thank you so much for coming on hosting the show. Thank you for hosting the show.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. And thank y'all for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go. Peace. Thank y'all for tuning into this week's episode of The Art of Letting Go. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to the podcast. Also, leave a review, rate it, let people know what you think. If you guys would like to support the show further, we do have a Patreon. My goal is 10 for the year. I'm at 8 right now. I would love 2 more patrons. I guess that's what we would call you guys. And maybe we'll come up with the letting goers or something like that. I don't know. But please sign up for the Patreon. Also, we got merch. You know, it's the 5th year anniversary. I got merch available at theartoflettinggopodcast.com. If you would like to be a guest on the show, you can sign up there. If you got questions for us, please send them in. And if you want to learn how to podcast, or if you just need the confidence to or somebody to motivate you to get your podcast done, I have a podcasting course available now, and it is on the website as well. So for all your Art of Letting Go needs, hit up theartoflettinggopodcast.com. And thank y'all for listening. This is Mike Brown. Peace.